When you think of the Persona games, what comes to your mind? There's probably a good chunk of you guys that had the game's music pop into your head. It would be an understatement to say that the music in Persona is important. It's arguably one of the most recognizable parts of the series. I even asked you guys in a poll how important the music is, either to you or the game itself, and every vote agreed that it was important in some way, or it is at least enjoyable to listen to. With the soundtrack as popular as it is, it was inevitable that live performances of the music would happen, but until recently, most of all the live shows have been in Japan. With this in mind, I did some digging and put together a history of Persona live shows, everything from the large shows down to live streams. This was most of what I could find, and I guarantee that I probably missed some of the smaller shows that took place at things like conventions, but if I missed anything, please let me know. Since a good chunk of these performances had some form of official release, I won't be showing any of the footage or audio from these shows to protect my channel from the almighty Atlas Hammer. However, if you would like to check out any of them, a good amount of them can be found on YouTube, and some of the concert's audio can be found on streaming services. We will be going by year until we get into the present year of 2025 as of recording. But let's get into it. This is a history of live Persona concerts. Kicking it off in 2008, the first and only concert I could find was the Persona Music Alive 2008, Velvet Room in Akasaka Blitz. This show was held on Friday, August 8th, 2008 in Akasaka Blitz in Minato City. In this 2-hour event, 25 songs were played from Persona 3, Fez, Trinity Soul, and Persona 4. According to Atlas, over 1,000 fans were in attendance. The stage was set with an empty velvet chair at the center with a large screen that would show game footage while the performers would play. Performers would include Yumi Kawamura, Lotus Juice, Shihoko Hirata, Shuhei Kida, and Nana Kitade, alongside some dancers as well. Persona composer Shoji Meguro would also accompany the band playing guitar, stating during the show that this was the first time in 21 years he's played the guitar. The concert would start with an opening bit from Igor, Elizabeth, and Margaret before going into the first song. The singers for each game would then take turns performing music. Kawamura would humorously interact with the crowd between songs, asking things like, "This is the first time you people are in Akasaka Blitz, right? You wouldn't have come here if it wasn't for this event, right? People who play Persona games usually don't go out, do they?" Merch for this show would include items such as t-shirts, a CD with piano versions of Persona songs, and a limited edition poster. This performance would also be filmed and released on DVD. Lastly, 3 recordings from this show would be included in Persona 4 Golden in one of the bonus channels. The next concert is Persona Music Live 2009, Velvet Room in Wells City, Tokyo on September 19th, 2009. For this show, the setlist was increased to 29 songs, with tracks from P3, Fez, Trinity Soul, and P4 returning, with songs from Persona 3 Portable and SMT Persona being added. Kawamura, Kida, Hirata, and Lotus Juice would return with P3P vocalist Mayumi Fujita being added. The stage was pretty much set up identical to the 2008 show, with the empty velvet chair and a screen for showing game footage. Near the end of the show, Kida and Hirata would dress up and lead the audience in singing Satomi Tadashi Pharmacy Theme, which is a recurring song throughout the Persona series, being debuted in Persona 1 and was written by Misaki Okibe and sung by the late Hidehito Akoi. As for the merch, a wider variety of items would be added. Items available included shirts, towels, posters, stickers, tote bags, and CDs. Outside of the hall, actress Ayumi Yasuoka would cosplay as Elizabeth near the entrance for the premium seating. Mirroring the 2008 show, this concert would also be filmed for a DVD release and also have songs featured in Persona 4 Golden on the bonus channel. For 2010, the show would finally hit the road. Simply titled Persona Music Tour 2010, this tour would have 3 stops in Osaka, Nagoya, and Tokyo. The first 2 shows in Osaka and Nagoya were held on August 6th and 7th, 2010, with the Tokyo show taking place on August 14th. Lotus Juice, Kawamura, Hirata, and Kida returned to perform music from P3, Fez, Trinity Soul, and P4. Other than the set list, I couldn't find much information about this performance. 4Gamer.net has an article detailing the Tokyo show with photos and discussing some of the banter from the performers. However, from what I can tell, these 3 shows were not filmed. For merch, once again, there is not a lot of info out there I could find. I found pictures of the show's brochure, guest pass, as well as a pouch and a card holder. There would be no concerts held in 2011. However, they would return once again for the following year. Persona Music Live 2012 Mayonaka TV in Tokyo International Forum was held on April 8, 2012, with around 5,000 people in attendance. This concert would also be screened live to 24 movie theaters across Japan. New songs from Persona 4 the animation and arena would be added, with P3, Fez, Portable, Trinity Soul, and P4 making a return. The previous concert lineup of Lotus Juice, Kawamura, Hirata, and Kita would stay the same for this show. The stage would be modeled after the TV world in Persona 4, as well as a large projection screen and a stack of 3 TVs on stage as well. There would be what I guess you could loosely call a plot to this show, with the investigation team going to the TV world and finding the show's audience there. Merch-wise, you have items such as shirts, posters, pamphlets, towels, pouches, and even phone cases as well. A DVD of the concert would also be released, with a bonus CD provided in the limited edition. Later that same year, a Persona 4 music band featuring Kawamura, Lotus Juice, Hirata, and Meguro would be formed and play 2 separate shows for Any Song Generation and Any Mellow Summer Live 2012. Persona Music Fest 2013 would be the next concert held at Nippon Budokan in Chiyoda City, Tokyo on August 13, 2013. This would be the first concert where songs from Trinity Soul would be dropped, and tracks from the Persona 3 movie, Persona 4 Golden, and its anime would be added. With the games represented being only P3 and P4 this time around, the performer list would be shortened to just Lotus Juice, Kawamura, and Hirata. The stage would still be modeled after the TV world in P4, however the stacked TVs would be removed for this show. Fans had the opportunity to vote for their favorite Persona tracks, with the top 10 most popular tracks being announced during the show. I couldn't find a list of available merch for the show, however items I did find included a tote bag, a poster, shirt, and a 20-page pamphlet. As always, there would be a DVD release of the performance, and some tracks from this show would be playable in the Persona dancing games as well. The next concert would be the Persona Music Box 2014 on October 19th, 2014 in Shinagawa. The lineup of Lotus Juice, Kawamura, and Hirata would remain the same, with tracks from Persona 4 Arena Ultimax and Persona Q being added this time around. The stage would also be set up based on Persona Q. The live band would be notably absent for this show, with DJ Waka providing the backing tracks. With no live band, this would be the first show where Meguro would not be performing. However, he was in attendance and shared in an interview with Famitsu that Lotus Juice was pretty much in charge of this one, with him deciding the set list and remixing the songs. Merch would be posted online and would include items like shirts, a game pouch, postcards, and a black orb teddy necklace. CDs would also be available, as well as DVD copies of the Persona 4 Golden anime. And you already know that the show was filmed for a DVD release and would include a 20-page booklet and rehearsal and backstage footage. 2015 would be a very big and busy year for Persona concerts. Starting off on January 17th, 2015, Lotus Juice, Kawamura, and Hirata would travel and hold the first Persona concert outside of Japan. Titled Persona Dream Concert, this show would be held during TaiyuCon in Mesa, Arizona. The setlist would contain songs from P3, 4, Ultimax, and Q, as well as Lotus Juice having a solo concert on the following day, with one attendee writing on the Calicon blog that Kawamura and Hirata also joined him for a few songs. The 3 would also be available for a fan signing after the concert. The next show for 2015 would be the biggest event of the year, titled Persona Super Live 2015 Night of the Phantom on February 5th, 2015 in Nippon Budokan. The full band would return for Night of the Phantom with the usual lineup of Lotus Juice, Kawamura, and Hirata as well. The show's setlist would add a track from the soon-to-be-released Persona 4 Dancing All Night. Online polls were also held that allowed fans to vote for their favorite Persona songs and characters from Golden. The top 3 songs included Reach Out to the Truth, Burn My Dread, and Kimi no Kyoku taking first place, and Yosuke winning top spot for character voting. And of course, the biggest thing to drop during this performance would be the first trailer for Persona 5 at the end of the show, making this the first concert to reveal details about an upcoming game. The usual merchandise like shirts, pouches, and posters would be shared before the concert, and a DVD release of the show would include backstage footage and live footage when the Persona 5 trailer was shown. Moving on from Night of the Phantom, it was announced that Lotus Juice, Kawamura, and Hirata would perform songs from P3 and P4 during the Japan Music Game Festival 2 in Tokyo. However, this event would be ultimately cancelled. Lastly, for 2015, the Persona crew would do a 3-day tour once again in Japan in September. Shows would be held in Osaka, Nagoya, and Tokyo. All 3 shows would sell out, and after the first stop of the tour, Atlus announced that the final show in Tokyo would be broadcast to 28 theaters across Japan. This tour would see the return of SMT Persona to the setlist, with Kawamura performing the track Voice. Announced merchandise for the show would include shirts, pen lights, tote bags, and towels, just to name a few. After the final show, the DVD release of the Tokyo show would be announced. We are now in 2016, and Atlus would team up with Game Symphony Japan and hold the series' first orchestral concert on August 13th, 2016 for the series' 20th anniversary. 2 more dates would be added for November 27th and December 25th and have slightly different set lists. Conducted by Kenichi Shimura, music from Revelations Persona to Persona 5 would be included. Game Symphony Japan would release a survey to fans, allowing them to voice what songs from the series they would like to hear, even covering the handheld titles and spin-offs. These orchestra concerts would have merch as well, with some like these Teddy hand towels, microfiber cloths, and previous concert shirts being available. There would also be concert brochures. The final show on December 25th would be released on DVD and would feature some songs from the other 2 shows as well. Lastly, in 2016, leading up to the release of Persona 5, Lin Inaizumi, the vocalist for the game, would perform 3 songs to a small audience during the game's launch livestream. Starting off 2017, on February 12th, DJ Waka performed a solo set playing music from P3 and 4 for Game Party Japan 2017. Following his set, music from Persona 5 would be performed on electronic organs, and Meguro would appear and talk about the game's music in between songs. Next, on March 20th, 2017, Game Symphony Japan would once again team up with Atlus and hold a Persona 5 symphonic concert during a week-long event held by Game Symphony Japan. The concert would be split into chapters, with each one covering a different area of the game's soundtrack. The show would also feature Lin as a performer. A special cafe would be at the event and would feature a Persona 5 collaboration menu. Merch made for the event would also be available for purchase as well. This event would also hold fan meetings with performers and artists who helped create the game's music, like conductor Shimura and Meguro. This year's large concert would be the Persona Super Live P-Sound Bomb 2017. Witness the Harbor's Crime on August 2nd at the Yokohama Arena. Along with normal tickets, special tickets called P5 seats and P3, P4 seats would be available for those who love a game of their choice. The show would also have a paid live stream available for viewing. With the usual lineup of Lotus Juice, Kawamura, Hirata, and Meguro, Lin would also be added as a performer. The setlist would be a staggering 42 tracks long, with songs from P2, 5, and 3 and 5's dancing games being added. There would be 2 stages for this show, with a smaller stage located on the opposite end of the arena from the main stage. The main stage would feature the full band with a full-size Morgana bus. The smaller stage would have hanging lights above it. There would be a large number of dancers dressed as characters as well, with almost all of them being the mocap dancers for the dancing games. For merchandise, I feel like they really went all out for this show, adding items like a Boston bag, mirror, glasses case, business card holders, masking tape, and even keychains of every game's protagonist, minus Femc, just to name a few. Towards the end of the show, 3 games would be announced, including the Persona 3 and 5 dancing games and Persona Q2. The concert would obviously have a CD and DVD release as well. In response to high fan demand, Game Symphony Japan would hold 2 more Persona Orchestra concerts on October 28th, with the first show having songs from each game in the series, and the second show featuring songs only from Persona 5. Special merch for this show would have Morgana playing a violin and have such items such as shirts, mugs, and DVD of the 2016 orchestra show. 2018 wouldn't have a large event. However, this year would be filled with a lot more smaller shows where music from the games were performed. Starting early this year on January 14th, Lotus Juice, Lin, and Kawamura would perform as Persona R during the Japan Game Festival 2 Re. This would be a short set and would be the first time the songs Our Moment and Groovy would be performed by the singers. Next, on February 11th, DJ Waka performed at Game Party Japan dubbed Persona Dancing Tonight 2018, playing music from P3, 4, 5, Q, and the dancing games for P3 and 5. There would be a special stage show for the P3 and 5 dancing games, as well as the P5 anime during Sega Fest 2018 on April 15th. This event would be live streamed and included a mini concert done by Lin. The set would include full versions of the opening themes for P5D and the P5 anime. A 2-day launch event for P3D and P5D would take place on May 17th and 18th. The May 17th event would be called Persona Showcase History's Strongest Fight Between Sisters. Lotus Juice, DJ Waka, and other musical guests would be in attendance, and there would be a DJ performance. The May 18th event, titled Persona Showcase Welcome to Club Velvet, would have artists who remix tracks for the games attending and also have DJ performances. Special merch would be created for each event centering around each dancing game. In September, Lin would hold a mini performance during the Tokyo Game Show 2018 playing 3 songs. Lin and Meguro would later join Sonic series sound director Jun Sonoe and play a final live concert that would feature a medley of Sega games. To end the year, on November 29th, to celebrate the release of Persona Q2, a special live stream called Persona Q2 Film Festival was planned. During this live stream, Lotus Juice, Lin, Hirata, and Kawamura would perform the opening for Q2, as well as battle themes Wait and See, We Got Your Back, and Invitation to Freedom. Moving on to 2019, Atlus would return for Sega Fest 2019 on March 31st, with Lin and DJ Waka performing another mini concert of Persona 5 music during the livestream. DJ Waka would perform first, playing tracks from Persona Q2. Lin would then take the stage and perform songs from the P5 anime, Q2, and P5. 2019's main event was Persona Super Live, P Sound Street 2019, Welcome to No. Q Theater. This was a 2-day concert held on April 24th and 25th with Lotus Juice, Kawamura, Hirata, and Lin performing alongside DJ Waka, Meguro, the live band, and dancers. The shows would also be live streamed on Nico Nico as well as Periscope. The setlist would be the most diverse to date, with tracks being pulled from SMT Persona, Persona 2, 3, 4, 5, Q games, the animes, dancing games, movies, literally almost everything. Rest in peace, Trinity Soul. The stage would be in the center of the arena and would be made to look like a street. There would be so much merchandise for this show. Past merch from the Persona Showcase would be available as well, and new items like pins, shirts, tapestry, bags, and caps would be added. Certain tickets would also be given a mini album CD. Of course, with concerts this big, we are going to have announcements as well. During the first concert, a trailer and release date announcement for the previously teased Persona 5 Royal was shown. The second announcement would be the next day, with Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom Strikers, aka Persona 5 Strikers, being revealed. With a show this big, how could you not have a home release? The 2-disc Blu-ray would include the show as well as 60 minutes of bonus footage. The CD would be 3 discs long and would be bundled with the Blu-ray in the limited edition release. Moving on from the big show, music from Persona 5 would be included during Games Symphony Japan's 55th concert on August 11, 2019. Lin would also be featured as a guest singer. Next up, on August 30th, there was another mini performance by Lin during the Persona 5 Royal experience, where Atlus would share more info on P5R. The final show of the year would be on October 30th, during a pre-launch livestream held for Royal's release. This would include a mini concert with Lin and DJ Waka. 100 guests would be allowed to attend the event in person, with tickets being given out through a lottery. So shows in 2020 would take a huge hit with the world exploding and all that year. Not many performances would even take place, and there wouldn't be a huge Persona Super Live either. Almost all performances would just be a live stream. However, the first one would be on February 19th during the launch live stream for Persona 5 Strikers. The show would start with a DJ Waka set of various Persona 5 tracks. Then Lin and Masa from Koei Tecmo Games would join to perform songs from Strikers. Next, Lin would perform 3 songs during the Tokyo Game Show livestream on September 27th. For Sega's 60th anniversary live event, they would actually hold an in-person concert featuring songs from many Sega titles. This event on November 8th would have a very limited audience. It was recorded and was shown on December 19th. Lin and Hirata would perform for the show, playing Persona 4 and 5 songs. And to close the year, on December 10th, Lin would perform the Strikers version of Last Surprise for the Game Awards pre-show. It's 2021 and the world is only kinda exploding, I guess. but it's now Persona's 25th anniversary and we still got some events. Atlus would start by broadcasting the big Persona Super Lives from 2013, 15, 17, and 19 on Nico Nico on certain dates from February through April. The first performance would be Lyn as a guest performer at Bilibili Macrolink on July 11th, and she would perform Life Will Change. This year would also be the Tokyo Game Show's 25th anniversary, and to celebrate, they would hold an orchestra concert on October 2nd and 3rd. Dubbed Tokyo Game Music Fest, the orchestra would play music from various games, with Revelations Persona being included. The following day to close Tokyo Game Show, Sega held one more mini live show of various Sega songs. This streamed event would have Lyn perform a stripped-down version of Last Surprise before ending with Life Will Change and I Believe. On November 21st, the Grand Philharmonic Tokyo, conducted by Hiroyasu Matsumoto, held the 25th anniversary Persona Symphonic Concert. This concert would have two shows, with the first containing music from Persona 1 through 3, and the second show covering Persona 4 and 5. Kawamura would join as a vocalist for the first show, while Hirata and Lyn would join for show number 2. After much digging, there isn't actually a lot I could find about the concert itself. It was never recorded, and the venue did not allow people to take photos or videos, so information can be sparse. But if you got any information on this show, please share it in the comments. I did find a blog of someone who won tickets but only went to the second show, but they were able to sneak a picture of the program and of the stage. They also described that there was a screen that would show gameplay as the orchestra played. Another blogger described their time during the P3 segment and also shared a few photos. Lastly, I also found a picture from one of the musicians who shared a photo from the stage. Regardless, this event would be popular enough that a second date in December was added. Now for 2022, starting off the year would be a mini concert and talk show featuring Lyn on February 25th. This show would be held to celebrate the release of Royal and Striker soundtracks. We got another mini concert on June 29th. This would be streamed to celebrate Persona 25th's anniversary and the ports of P3, 4, and 5 to other systems. This would only feature Lyn, however, and she would perform a few Persona 5 songs. And finally, after 3 long years, 2022 would see the return of Persona Super Live. This year would be titled Persona Super Live Peace Sound Wish 2022, Crossing Journeys, and would be another 2-day event held on October 8th and 9th. Holders of VIP tickets were also treated to a smaller July show where parts of it were recorded and used as background footage for the show. Both dates would quickly sell out and was attended by over 14,000 people. With the world being rocked by the big C19 over the last 2 years, the road leading up to this year's Persona Super Live was a long one. In the pamphlet for the show, Atlus described the timeline leading up to this event. In fall of 2020, initial talks for the next Persona Super Live started, with a goal for a 2-day event in 2021. However, by the end of 2020, live events had to have new measures established, such as no cheering, being at half capacity, and limited seating. Many live events were just flat out cancelled, so all plans for a 2021 Super Live were put on hold. By summer 2021, there was some talk of holding a Persona concert as a live stream. However, this idea would be quickly given up since nobody could settle on an agreement for it. They would then aim for an in-person event for fall of 2022. Next, in fall of 2021, the process of selecting a venue would start. They wanted the venue to be large and also had enough room to avoid crowding. Finally, in winter 2021, the venue was chosen and 2 dates in October 2022 were officially decided. This Super Live was made to be the grand final of the year-long Persona 25th anniversary. It would even be live-streamed globally. The shows would feature songs from all of these, and pretty much nothing was left out. Except for, Trinity Soul, but we don't talk about that. Each day would have completely different set lists, with day 1 primarily focusing on P3 and 5, and day 2 focusing on P4 and 5. As always, Lyn, Lotus Juice, Kawamura, and Hirata would perform, but Mayumi Fujita would also make her return singing Wiping All Out from Persona 3 Portable. There was also the use of these large screens where characters would perform dances during some of the songs. Our good friend Tanaka would announce in a live stream some of the merch, which included a shirt, character keychains, hats, and even face masks. For a home release, there would be a 2-disc Blu-ray and a 4-disc CD recording of both shows. The CD would include a bonus track composed by Kenichi Tsuchiya exclusively for the show that was used as a backing track after the second day. Fast forward, and now we are in 2023. This would be a slower year for Persona shows, and there wouldn't be a large Persona Super Live either. First off, to celebrate the ports of Persona 3, 4, and 5, a collab event between Kobe City and the Persona series would be held from February 18th through March 31st. During this collaboration, there would be a special piano performance on the restaurant cruise ship Concerto. This show would be called Kobe City X P5R Premium Live On Board 2023 in Concerto, and would feature Lin and pianist Akinori Honda. Held on March 11th, there would be only 2 shows with only 80 tickets available for each. Lin would sing piano arrangements of P5 songs, and there would be piano arrangements of P3P and P4G songs as well. The only other show for that year was on October 4th, and it was a mini concert featuring songs for the upcoming Persona 5 Tactica and was held in Tokyo. This performance was recorded in front of a 150-person audience and shared during a launch livestream for the game on November 16th. Well, we are almost to the present day, and in 2024, we would start right away on January 31st with a mini concert to celebrate the release of Persona 3 Reload. Around 50 tickets would be available to attend the event, and it was also live streamed. Lotus Juice would perform along with the new Persona 3 Reload vocalist, Azumi Takahashi. This show would also include some piano renditions of some of the tracks. At the end, the next large-scale Persona concert would be announced. Persona Live Tour 2024 More Ahead would be traveling to Osaka on May 31st, Yokohama on June 7th and 8th, and Taiwan on October 10th. The Taiwan date would have 2 performances, with one during the day and the other in the evening. Due to all the shows selling out, the second show in Yokohama on June 8th was later added and also streamed online in a paid livestream. Series veterans Lin and Mr. Juice would be joined by P3R vocalist Takahashi and DJ Vava. The setlist would slightly vary for each show, but mainly focus on P5 games and Persona 3 Reload. The June 8th show would also see the reveal of Persona 3 Reload episode Aegis. Merch would be revealed during a live stream as well and be available for an online purchase. The June 8th show would also be recorded for a standard and limited edition Blu-ray that was released in 2025. There would be a few smaller events sprinkled in here and there throughout the year while this tour was going on. On June 9th, during the first ever Atlas Fest, there was a small P3R and P5 concert with Lin, Takahashi, and Lotus Juice. On August 25th, Lin would perform a mini concert at the Fancy Frontier 43 in Taiwan. Merch from the Persona Live Tour would also be available at the show. Alright, so now we are caught up to 2025. So where are we now? Persona music shows are still going full steam and show no signs of stopping. The 2024 Persona Live Tour would actually continue into this year, with 2 dates being added in Shanghai on April 19th and 20th, and Beijing on April 23rd and 24th. In June, it was announced that a Persona 5 special big band concert will be held in Tokyo on December 2nd through the 4th, with Lin on vocals and Charlie Rosen of the 8-Bit Band as director. On July 5th at Anime Expo 2025 in Los Angeles, Lin would perform live for the first time in the US at the Persona Music Experience. And finally, it was announced that a Persona Live concert will finally make its debut in America with its first show in LA in January 2026. And well, that should be nearly everything. At least I hope. I'm sure I definitely missed a few things, like how I found out Tokyo Game Show 2025 had a Persona concert while I was almost done making this video, and I missed it, but oh well. But anyways, what are your thoughts on these live shows or Persona music in general? Are you happy that we're finally going to get a Super Live here in the West? I'd love to know what you think. All sources to articles and whatnot will be linked in the description if you would like to dig a little deeper into the topic for yourself. Well, if you made it to the end of this video, I just want you to know that I appreciate you and I thank you for watching. Why don't you subscribe and check out my channel for other Persona related content. This is Twigs, and I hope to see you in the next one.